So we're just going to Castle Girnigoe, Castle Sinclair Girnigoe it's called.
Yeah.
It's got two names, I'll explain that later. But I'm just going to show you a quick little map of the area. We are here, that's Mazzy. You see Mazzy there, and I'm there just next to her. This is the car park, and you go down this lane here to the castle. It's only 200 metres, it's not far. You've got a lighthouse over there. And there is a cairn over there somewhere, but we're not going to bother with that. Let's go do this. This is an exciting castle, guys. There's a lot of things to see here. Around here, on the shore, you've got this formation, look. And it was caused by a meteor strike, apparently, millions of years ago.
Wow.
So here is what the castle would have looked like when it was a proper working castle. Look at this. Look at this. How nice is that? It's quite sexy, isn't it? So what you've got is a castle here and a castle here, and they were joined together. This one was built after the other one, and they were joined together by a drawbridge and became one castle, but they've kept both names. We're just trying to get us bearings, wondering what's over there, and I says, well, that's probably what we've already just done. And it is. So right over there you've got Dunnet, Duncansby Head, John O'Groats. You've got the wonderful castle I loved, which they call Bucholly Castle, Kais Castle there, and the Brocks. That's everything we did yesterday. Let's carry on. Let's get to this castle. It's bitterly cold today. It really is. Weather's nice though. You know, we can't complain. It's there's no wind.
No rain.
No rain, but it's cold. And there's people in front of us, so I'm going to have to be acting like an idiot on camera in front of people by the look of it. I'll probably get an audience, I sometimes do. So here it is, the wonderful Sinclair Girnigoe Castle. Now, if you do the North Coast 500, this is probably the most visited castle on the North Coast 500. It's one of the most complete, and you can walk around it a bit, so it's a really nice one to come to. You get some wonderful views down here, which we'll show you in a minute. But every time I come here I notice there's scaffolding up, every single time. Scaffolding everywhere.
It looks rusty, like it's been there.
Yeah,
sometime.
it's probably the same scaffolding actually from years ago when I was last here. The thing is, it's owned by, I think it's the Clan Sinclair Trust or something. It's still the Sinclairs. It's called Sinclair Castle. The Sinclairs still own it as like a trust, and people can donate to it, and they use the money to pump into this to restore it, and they keep running out of money, and I'm guessing they ran out of money a few years ago and they haven't touched it since. But bless them, they keep trying. I've also read as well, this is quite interesting, I think it's in the top 100 most endangered landmarks in the world.
Endangered, I don't know what that means.
Well, it's under threat because it could fall into the sea. It's all falling to bits, but they're trying to save it. So it's in the top 100 in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the only castle in Scotland which can boast that.
What, not the other two that we visited? Because they were really
Yeah,
on
well,
the edge as well.
They
weren't
are, yeah. But no, they're not on the top 100 list for some reason. I think they think this is much more important.
Yeah.
Which it is really. This was a much more important castle than them, in the fact that who lived here and the stories and the history. More history here, you see. Remember I was telling you it was two castles? Well, the two castles, you've got one here, and there was one there, sort of. I think it's there. This one was built first, and then one of the guys, I'll tell you later, built another one here, built a drawbridge joining them together, and I'll show you down here. This was 13 to 1400, this is what it looked like. 1400 to 1530, built this big thing on it. And it just grows and grows and grows. A lot of money is pumped into it, and that's it in its heyday, 1680. Looks like a little city, doesn't it? I have just been corrected by my little assistant here.
Again?
Sorry, that was in its heyday in the 1600s, but in 1610 to 1680 it started to go into disrepair, and I'll tell you why. When it were at its best, Oliver Cromwell came along. He was here for a bit, took over it for a bit, him and his men used it as like a base, and they put it into a bit of disrepair. They didn't look after it, so it started to fall to bits. As you can see in the last picture down here, as Mazzy has kindly pointed out, you see the roof's coming off a bit, and there's like men on top trying to fix it. It's falling to bits, it is. So where we stood now would have been the entrance to the castle. There's like your main door. See down here? We're here. So we'd be facing it just down here. So you've got the old castle Girnigoe, the new castle Sinclair, and then there was a bit of a building over here. I want to show you this bay. This bay is beautiful. It's still beautiful today. Just reading the board here, and it's saying here it is owned by the Clan Sinclair Trust, which is what I just said. But it is lottery funded. It's funded by a lot of different important people, which surprises me. But there's a picture up there, which is exactly what I've just been talking about. Look at the scaffolding they had on that tower once upon a time. As you can see, it does look as if it could fall down, but they've obviously done a lot of work to keep it up. So we're on the little bridge at the moment. What a spectacular view of that rock in the middle there. You can see right through it. It's not coming up on the camera very well, but there's a passageway going right through the middle of there. How they've kept that tower up and safe, I do not know. So you've got your poppy on today.
I have, yes.
Poppy day coming up shortly.
Yeah.
So yeah, get your money's worth out of that. I think it cost me £1.
Yeah.
Prince Charles was here.
Ooh.
Yeah, when they started preserving this castle back in 2005, they put this big stone in here, and the Prince Charles came along, and he'll probably had some of that curtainy things on. He'll have pulled a little thing, and it'll have opened up to show his name on there, because he is the patron of the Clan Sinclair Trust, which I didn't know. Keep seeing him with a kilt on, don't we?
Yeah.
Has he got any family who are Sinclairs? I don't know, but he is the patron. This picture shows you just how skinny the castle is. You've got cliffs down this side, cliffs down the other, and it's just perched all the way along. Now this bit here, up at the top of there, I've had a dining room apparently. There'd have been a dining room there as well. There'd have been a chapel right at the other end of the castle. It's a shame. I know the need to do this, but it spoils it for the pictures, does all the scaffolding around, but I understand why it's there. But it is an amazing place, it really is. You can see the restoration work they're doing here. These windows are absolutely fantastic. But have they cleaned it up a bit too much, Mazzy? Is it spoiling it a bit?
No, it's alright. I just want to get inside.
But by cleaning it up, the castle now looks pink.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit girly. It's more like a princess's castle, isn't it, than a fighting one. There's a bit over here, Mazzy. Yeah. I seem to remember it were good. If you want to look through down in this corner. Yeah. I might be wrong, but I think it were a really good view down here. I might be wrong.
Oh, how cute.
Is it?
Oh, wow.
That is your toilet. See the hole in the bottom?
Oh, isn't that scary?
I think that's the toilet. But what a view you'd have from the toilet, mind you, you'd be facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
Be alright for a man having a wee, you'd get a really good view out there. Okay, so I'm just pretending I'm having a wee. I'm not really having one, but I've got a very nice view while I'm here. Wonderful. One thing I will say about here is the information boards. They're really going into detail, showing you exactly what every room would have been in the castle. How they know all this, I don't know. They must have had plans or something. So if you really wanted to go in depth when you come here, you could spend a few hours here and really go in each room and, you know, read about it and everything. I'd love to watch a documentary on this place.
Yeah.
You know, like a proper historian going round every room and telling you what was what. A Tony Robinson type thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really, really interesting, that. It's time to tell you a few facts about the castle. Now, Mazzy said she wanted a good backdrop. Here you go. Good enough for you?
Yeah.
Will that do?
You're funny.
I am, aren't I? Right, let's tell you a few stories. So George Sinclair had this castle once upon a time, and in 1577 he arrested his own son. He thought his son was conspiring against him, so he arrested him, put him in the dungeon, kept him there, I think he was called John, kept him there for 7 years. Keeping your own son in dungeon for 7 years, that's like when I lived with my mum and I had to have a bedroom in cellar. It's very similar to that really, but I was only there 2 years I think. Anyway, he put him in the cellar, and after 7 years he got fed up of feeding him every day. So what he did is he started feeding him salted beef and no water until he died of thirst. True story is that.
That's me.
He were an evil man with this George. So he was an earl, was this George guy, George Sinclair, and he became known as the Wicked Earl and Wicked George. That's how bad he was. Everyone hated this guy. And he had a big problem with his neighbours. His neighbours were the Gun clan. And the Gun clan decided one day, let's go over there, have a little fight. Bang, 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 bang. So the Guns came over, they had a fight for 12 days, and then the Guns got bored and went home. No winners, really. I don't like this bit.
Why? Oh my gosh.
It almost sounds hollow, as if I pressed really hard, all this end would cave in and go out at sea.
Jump!
I don't want to. It's like hollow.
That's
All right, here.
weird.
It's just down there. So George Sinclair, now I don't know if this is the same George Sinclair or another George Sinclair. There's a few George Sinclairs who've had this castle. He decided to build, he was in Girnigoe Castle, which is there. He decided to build Sinclair Castle, which is here. And then he put a drawbridge over here. He got in touch with the council. He says, right, I've built a little extension. Sorry I didn't put in for planning permission first, but can I now just call the whole thing Castle Sinclair after my family? I want rid of the word Girnigoe because I don't know what it means. Do you know? I don't even know. I don't think anyone knows what it means. It's just a stupid word. So let's call it Castle Sinclair. You know, they were all right about that, what council, but the problem is people couldn't get Girnigoe out of their head. So people still call it Girnigoe, some people call it Sinclair, but its proper title now is Castle Sinclair Girnigoe, or Castle Girnigoe I can't remember. 1677, George Sinclair, another George, I think this is a different George Sinclair. He got into a lot of debt, right, because they'd built this massive extension, owed a lot of money out, and he owed the money to his fourth cousin, who was a Campbell, right. So what he said to his cousin, his fourth cousin, says, you know what, to pay this debt off, I'm in it up to my ears, I've got the bank statements coming through every day, credit cards, I can't cope, you can have the castle. Yeah, so he sold the castle to his cousin, but it was under the rule that he could live here until he died, and then he'd get the castle. Right, he died, did George. Campbell came for his castle, but then the first cousin of George, who died, he came along and says, hang on, what do you think you're doing? He says, oh, I got this in a debt. He says, when he was dead, I can have this castle. He says, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm his first cousin. He didn't have any, what do you call them, kids or anything. So he had no one to leave the castle to anyway. Anyway, the first cousin says, I'm sorry, I'm next in line to his, you know, his money. I'm having it. He said, you can't have it. He gave me it. He says, as soon as he died, I can have it. So the first cousin was George Sinclair, another George Sinclair, I think, from Keith Castle, which we went to the other day, or Keith Castle. And the Campbells were in here having parties, having a right good time. And the Sinclairs came over to attack, right? They came over, they ripped the roof off. What's that all about? They ripped the roof off, took all the carpets, took all the tables, furniture, everything. They just left it gutted. I don't know where Campbells had gone at. They might have gone out for the day, I don't know. But yeah, left it gutted and went away with all these tables and chairs and stuff. Anyway, the Campbells came back from the pub, saw what had happened. They got all the clan together, went over to Wick and had a mass fight over there. Wick ain't over there, is it? It's over there. Why do I keep pointing over there? It's over there. He went over to Wick, did the Campbell man, and he beat them up. He beat the Sinclairs up. And he took his table and chairs back He didn't get the roof. I don't know what happened to that. I think it was sold at a market, you know, just the slate separately. Or at a car boot sale, 5 for £1 or something. I don't know. But he got what he could and he brought it back. So the dispute was settled 1 year later by the courts. So the courts, the council, they said to Sinclair, right, you can keep your earldom. Mr. Campbell, you can still live in the castle. You can have the land and the castle and everything. But let him have his earldom, just to shut him up. So that was all sorted out, but the problem was the castle was so battered from him nicking all the roof slates and stuff, it wasn't habitable anymore. So Campbell never lived here again. Nobody ever lived here again. It just fell into disrepair. As Mazzy's just pointed out, her slate chopping board could have been part of this castle. Quite possible, quite possible. Right, 2 more little facts. Apparently there's a secret chamber in the vaulted ceiling of that side of the castle.
Ooh.
Can't get in it, so we don't know. I have read that they're going to try and open this up, I think, eventually, so that you can go in that bit. Don't know if that's true. But when it's all finished, the whole idea is to have it wheelchair friendly, which would be fantastic. It's the only wheelchair friendly castle in the world, as far as I'm aware.
Really?
Yeah. Or Scotland, anyway.
You're a nutter.
Just taking a bit of a walk, because you can actually go down to the little bay at the other side. Just wanted a few more shots around the area and just come down here. You have to come down here, guys, if you come. Beautiful view here. Where all these stacks are. Look at that. Right next to the big one I just showed you where you can get through it there.
This is so scary up here. Be careful, babe.
Alright, so you scared me.
You said you wanted to canoe through that little gap in the rock there, didn't you?
I would love to canoe through that gap in the rock, yeah.
Let me take you over here to where Dan was. Oh my god, this is so scary. Oh my god. Oh, how wonderful.
I can't really work out if these are naturally formed. They can't be. Look at the shape of them. It's as if somebody's... I don't know. Absolutely stunning. All it needs now is a seal lying there for a close-up shot, but it's not my day, is it? So Castle Sinclair Girnigoe. What did you think?
Really good.
It is. I think when that's complete, if they ever finish the restoration work on that and they make it all wheelchair accessible,
It'd be really good.
and you could go in that other side, it would be fantastic. Well, it is fantastic. Highly recommended, get yourself there. Well, you will. If you're doing the North Coast 500, you'll definitely get to that castle. Anyway, thanks for joining yet again. Don't know where we're going next.
No idea.
No idea. We'll just leave it at that for now and say goodbye. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Bye bye.